Welcome to the story of the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, like you've never heard it before.
This story isn't told to you by the one Dragonborn that masters all, but told to you through the eyes of many different characters.
From soldiers in the Civil War seeking peace and order,
to seeking freedom and to remove the weakness from her lands.
From those cursed by the night, seeking to be the vigil in the darkness.
To warriors seeking honor, glory, and companionship.
To a shapeshifter and worshipper of the Daedra who seeks to live a life as a warrior.
To a mage seeking power and the arcane knowledge of Aetherius.
To assassins seeking fear and bringing the cold touch of Sithis.
To thieves seeking wealth beyond measure.
We all hope you enjoy
this story
of the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim.
Chapter 50, The Last Night.
Once we had found the Elder Scroll of Dragons, we traveled the 7,000 steps once more so I could learn a shout that the ancients used to rip Alduin from the skies. I would use the Elder Scroll to go back in time and learn Dragonrend from the very people that made it in ancient times. There I witnessed their battle with Alduin, where they used Dragonrend on the World Eater that ripped him to the ground. There I witnessed how they defeated him, but sending him through time with the very Elder Scroll I had used to visit the past. When I returned back to my time, I had found Alduin waiting for me, but I now had Dragonrend. I could use that shout to bring him to the ground and kill him once and for all like the prophecy had foretold. When he was grounded, everyone that followed me did battle with the beast, but we figured out pretty quick that Alduin wasn't going to be an easy kill. I wasn't ready to fight the World Eater. He grew bored with us and left the battle. It might have been a victory in a sort of manner, but truthfully, it felt like a failure. He either retreated or grew bored of our fight, but many of those that followed me into the fight were killed in the battle. Companions, mages, and even a vampire, and others that were brave had died by my side. The cost in blood was too great. Paarthurnax had hatched a plan to trap one of Alduin's allies in the Whiterun Keep that was made to trap dragons. There we could find where Alduin was, and when I am powerful enough, I can track him down once more and finish him once and for all. I went and talked about this plan with the Whiterun Jarl, but he refused because of the threat of war. He would only aid me if I was to stop the civil war burning all across Skyrim. So that was my plan. I needed to stop the war, not just for our plan, but because that would be less souls the World Eater could steal from Sovngarde. I then needed to convince the powers on both sides to come to High Hrothgar and convince them to stop fighting. So I entrusted my greatest friends with this. Both of them were on different sides of the war. Only they could convince their leaders to come and sit and try for peace. Sigund and Senturos were successful in convincing their leaders to come to me, and I was able to convince them to stop fighting, at least until I had dealt with the dragons. It wasn't an end to the war, but it was an end to the fighting, at least for a time. Once a truce was sorted, the Jarl of Whiterun then agreed to help us. Esbern had found a dragon we could trap, and when I'm powerful enough, I will trap this dragon in the keep and find Alduin and destroy him once and for all. Once we had achieved peace, the Blades gave me an ultimatum. They told me that I had to kill Paarthurnax, or I was no longer welcomed amongst them, and I refused. I then exiled them for their treachery. I might have failed in killing Alduin, but I succeeded in bringing an end to the fighting, for a time. For a year, Skyrim has been torn apart by the Civil War and countless years before. Now is the time for peace and to stand united against our greatest enemy, the dragons. And now that I have Dragonrend, I can tear them from the sky. The more dragons I kill, the more powerful I become. And the Greybeards have taught me how to find words of power, kind of like how I saw them in my dreams. They have seen a word of power in Shriekwind Barrow, and on my way back to the Dawnguard to finish what I started, I will visit the place. Senturos and Sigund have agreed to help me with the vampires. After all, I did learn a word of power while I was with the Dawnguard, long before I knew I was Dragonborn, so this will aid in making me stronger. It's been 4 days since the truce. Senturos and Sigund's soldiers are now working together, but for the sake of survival, I've ordered the dragon bones from the roof to be removed and had sent word to Whiterun to remove theirs. Tonrak has said that Yorland Greymane can craft armor out of the bones with the Skyforge. So we'll send the bones off in 3 parts. Armor and weapons made from the dragons will be of great use. Tomorrow I head off to Shriekwind Barrow and then the Dawnguard to finish what I started so long ago. And any dragon in our path will be torn from the sky and their soul devoured. But before then, I shall enjoy the peaceful moments. To sit under the stars once more and imagine where my life would have led me if I chose a different path. To wonder if I went south into Cyrodiil during the winter. Where would I have gone? But it's no matter. I don't think I had any choice in all of this. I was born to be the last Dragonborn. And it's up to me to stop the world from catching fire. And I won't fail Skyrim, or all of Tamriel. I'm her last hope. I will fight or die trying.
My name is Ragni Knight Oath. I own a farm, and like most Nords of my age, I fought in the Great War when I was young. But when I returned to Skyrim, I wanted nothing to do with war. I wanted to grow something, live a better life, and I dare say I was successful in that. I worked as a mercenary to earn gold, and on my travels, I met a beautiful woman who would become my wife and give me 3 strong children. My oldest went off to fight for Ulfric, but was killed in battle. My other 2 remaining children still live with us. I won't let them go off to war and die. I didn't survive the Great War for my children to die in another. But I fear I soon won't be able to stop them, because I feel I must act. I've been having dreams. Dreams of a ruin, where I'll meet a woman who needs me. I can't see her face, but I can see the fire in her eyes. I think it's the gods. They are showing me a vision, and I dare not ignore their will. I had already failed the 9 before. There's something my family doesn't know about my past. They know that I fought in the Great War, but what they don't know is who I fought for. I didn't fight for the Dominion, nor did I fight for the Empire. I fought for the 9. I was a Knight of the 9, the youngest at the time. I had only been within the Order for 5 months, when it all went to hell. Within days of the war, the Dominion's general led her armies out of Valenwood. The Knights of the Nine's priory was attacked. We were surrounded. Some of the other knights retrieved the holy relics of the Crusader and fled to hide them. The rest of us fought the Dominion. We held them off as long as we could, but one by one, we fell. Fear and panic took hold of me, and when there were only 5 of us left, I ran. I left my brothers and sisters behind like a coward. When those who had hidden the relics returned, they only found me. Only 5 knights remained, and by the end of the war, only I remained. I left when the Empire lost the Imperial city. I returned to Skyrim, bearing my armor and my past. When the Emperor retreated back into Skyrim, I joined his fight as a mercenary. We took back the Imperial city, and my reward was gold. I traded my faith for gold. I bought land here and stayed as a mercenary after the war. I couldn't refuse the gold. During my days as a hired blade, I met my wife Siggy. By the time my kids were born, I had enough gold to retire the blade for a shovel. But now the dragons have returned, and there is one out there taking the fight to them. And I know I must join her. I must once again serve the 9. I betrayed the 9 so long ago. I will heed their vision and meet this Dragonborn, and redeem myself in the eyes of the gods. It has been many years since I wore this armor. If I'm to travel once more, I need to look the part. I've kept fit and ready for anything that could harm my family. But now I must leave them. I have to serve the 9. To protect the Dragonborn. I know it to be her. I see the Dragonborn in my dreams. I've not been worthy of this armor, but I shall wear it once more and serve Tamriel. The oath to protect all from evil I shall uphold. I shall follow the path of the righteous once more. I shall smite any evil we face down, or give my life in service of that goal, to protect and serve once more the good people of Tamriel. I must say my goodbyes to my family. They are the one good thing I've made in all of my failures. They are what kept me from falling further into the darkness. I leave them, but to serve a greater purpose. To aid the Dragonborn in ending the evil that flies around our skies. My darling wife Siggy. Without her, I would have wasted all my gold away on ale and whoring away my guilt. She is the rock that kept me together all these years and gave me 3 beautiful children. She truly is the greatest woman I had ever met. Without her strength, I wouldn't be here today. I'd no doubt be rotting in some cave in the pursuit of gold. I made my boy promise not to join any side in this war. There was a peace treaty that is now in effect, but I made him swear he would protect his mother and sister until my return. And if I don't return, that he needs to protect them. He swore he would protect them with his life. He had only just become a man of his own. But the thought of losing another child haunts me. We never even got Bragag's body back. I fear one day he will run off to war to avenge his brother. And my beautiful Holder, the light of her mother shines within her. My daughter, how beautiful you have grown up to be. I shall miss you all, and hope that the Nine will send me back home after all this is done. But now I must set off. I must set off to the ruin I saw in my dreams. It was surrounded by trees, but sat by the water. I don't know where I am going, but the Nine shall guide me. I feel like I'm leaving my family to the wolves, but I pray and believe the Nine will guard them while I'm gone. And I pray that this isn't the last time I will see them again. Everything is telling me to walk back up the hill and place the armor where I had left it for 30 years. But my body is telling me to walk. Walk until I find this ruin. I will meet the fiery-eyed woman that can stop the dragons from burning the world down around us. She even managed to bring a peace to Skyrim it has not seen in years. She has been sent by the gods to save us, and I shall follow her call. On the way down here, I never came across dead bodies littered by the war. It is a welcome change. Now which way am I to go? Left or straight ahead? That way doesn't feel right. I feel as I must continue my path south. Yes, something about this feels right. If I saw trees surrounding the ruin, then maybe it's in the Falkreath woods. This is the right path. I feel as if I'm not even walking. As if the gods themselves have taken control of my body and are leading me to where I need to go. For the first time in decades, I feel as if I'm back. It feels as if the first day I took the oath and put on my armor to serve the Nine and the good people of Tamriel. How beautiful is this place during the spring. The forests of Skyrim are a truly beautiful thing. It reminds me of the redwoods of Cyrodiil, before it caught fire during the war. Speaking of war, I haven't seen any fighting on the roads, or any bodies. For years my family and I have had to clean up all the bodies on the roads beside our farms, to keep away all the wolves. It feels like an age since I saw the roads this peaceful. It's good to see Skyrim how she was before Ulfric decided to start a war with the Empire. Before my boy went off to war with the dream of a free Skyrim. A dream that cost him his life. War brings nothing but horror. It turns the best of men into animals. Those who survive are never the same. We all had to do things, horrible things to survive. Things that would have made us vomit before the war. Thankfully, I met Siggy working as a barmaid in Solitude. If I hadn't met her, I would have spent all my gold on ale and wenches. Would have ended up dying out in some dark cave. I feel like I am near. Something is telling me to stop. That is it. The ruin I saw in my dreams. This is the place the gods told me I will meet the Dragonborn. I am to meet her at some wall with strange carvings on it. These ruins are normally guarded by the dead. I shall clean it of the dead and wait for the Dragonborn. I can smell the dead within without even opening the door. This place isn't guarded by the dead, but disturbed by the dead. Within opening the door, I was attacked by corpses. These weren't Draugr. They weren't guarding this tomb. This place has been taken over by evil. The amount of people they have killed and enslaved to serve them is sickening. It's vampires. Those foul creatures have haunted the night for too long. They dare come here to a place of the honored dead and profane its walls with their evil. All the innocents they have killed. Every one of these poor souls was fed upon until they died. And when they lay dead, they bring them back with the foulest of magics. I will cleanse this place of its darkness. By the 9, I'm getting old. This sort of fighting is tiring me out already. Maybe I should have taken more time to train before I left. But I can't deny the will of the gods. They shall guide me. I will return those that have died to their rest. No more shall they serve the will of those vampires. They shall return to the dirt. It had felt like I had freed a city's worth of souls down there. These vampires have gotten out of control. Ever since fall last year, they travel the roads during the day, taking anybody they find, attacking towns and settlements during the night, and now creating armies of the dead to serve them. Something needs to be done about this. I had killed one of their servants, and come across a room where it seems all those poor souls I had put to rest had been bled dry. I swore to destroy such evils. Whatever set of fangs has done this will be turned to ash once and for all. This is a level of depravity that only deserves death. Such evil cannot be forgiven, only cleansed by the light of the 9. Ancient gnawed traps to keep out the living from robbing the dead. Fire traps and vampires don't work together, but some have already perished to this trap. The living do not belong here, only the dead. But in this case, I think this tomb needs one of the living to cleanse it of the dead, to set things right once more. These places are for the ancients to rest, not for vampires to herd their cattle of the dead inside these ruins. It's disgusting. I can feel the cold of this creature. I'm near to whatever had disturbed this tomb. There it is, the vampire behind all of this. It has no more slaves to protect it, and no more of its own kind. I killed its friend at the front, and now it's time for this one to become ash. The tomb had now been cleaned of the evil. Now, once more, it can be a place the dead rest. But now I must continue on, and find this wall with carvings. I found this wall with carvings, but it was guarded by a Draugr, one that had been disturbed by the vampires. Fear not, old friend. I shall return you to your rest. This seems to be the wall I saw in my dreams, where I will meet the woman with eyes of fire. I only hope that she comes soon, so the 9 don't have me waiting in here forever. If I do, I'm afraid I might join the dead of this tomb. I shall wait until she arrives.
Since there was a peace treaty in effect, Ulfric had released prisoners, and so Tullius agreed to release Brianna Bearclaw back to the rebels. So I'm here to get her out of solitude. And back to her sister. This place brings out the worst in everyone here. It would have been more of a mercy if I killed her where she laid back when we defeated her. But there was something deep down telling me not to end her. And Sigurd is that reason. She is very important to the Dragonborn, as am I. We would lay down our lives for Ragni. So in the attempts of peace, I need to get Brianna back to her sister. Okay, on your feet, Brianna. We haven't got much time. Need to get you cleaned up and ready to move out.
Cleaned up? Gonna give me a go before you guys finally take my head off? Guess it's finally come. At least you dogs won't be able to have me anymore.
None of that will be happening. You're being released. Back to your sister.
Wait, what? I'm being released? Did we win the war or something?
No, there's a truce. The Dragonborn called us and the rebels to a peace council so the Dragonborn can deal with the dragons. And during the peace, we are releasing you back to the Stormcloaks.
Wait, what Dragonborn? And peace treaty? What in Talos? What does my sister have anything to do with this?
She fights alongside the Dragonborn side, as do I. We fight together to protect the Dragonborn.
There's no way in Talos my sister would fight by your side. She'd never fight alongside one of you dogs.
Well, she does. Your gear is upstairs. Get ready and meet me outside within 20. She had gotten all of her gear, and we were to set off to Sky Haven Temple immediately. So we were to arrive just around sunup. I don't know what's going to happen when Sigurd sees her sister. I don't know if she will be in shock to find out her sister is alive, or in a rage to find out what's happened to her. Or even more of a rage to find out that I knew she was alive all this time and didn't tell her. But it's the right thing to do. Sigurd might be a rebel, but I know her to be a good woman. She fights to protect the Dragonborn. Her heart is always in the right place. What in the eight? This is bloody well why we shouldn't travel at night. A headless horseman riding around at night. Almost needed new breeches after that. I believe she fights for what she believes is true, and she believes us to be a blight to her lands. And maybe she's right. Maybe we are. From what I've seen us do, I can see why Nords fight against us. We let the elves come in and steal their loved ones. We take away Talos, and we do unspeakable things to our prisoners. Now that there's peace, I can see that it's not so black and white. I fought for the glory of the Empire, to bring peace back to our lands. But Skyrim isn't truly ours. Maybe I've just spent too much time around the rebels. I'm starting to see their point of view, but if commanded to fight again, I will. I will fight to bring order back to Skyrim. I'll fight because I have to. I'm just nervous how all this is going to go. I have a strong feeling Sigurd is going to brandish her blade. Maybe this was a bad decision, but I know it to be the right one. She deserves to know her sister isn't dead. For years I've been killing them, and now I'm allied with them. How much life can change. How crazy things just turn around. I couldn't have ever imagined being in this position a year ago when I was at the gates of Whiterun fending off a rebel army. I fought then for prestige, for the Empire, and for myself. But now it feels different. I no longer see any glory in killing the Nords. It seems a waste of life. There's a part of me that wishes the peace treaty was permanent, that we could all just stop fighting and killing each other. It's just the hope of a soldier that has seen too much death and sent too many souls onto the afterlife. I know there will be more to had, and I'll do my job, but I feel as if I don't have the heart for it all anymore. It's now time to face Sigurd. There's no going back now.
Damn faithless Imperials. Wait, was that Brianna? That sounded like Brianna. There's no way. It couldn't have been her. She died months ago. But when I turned my head, I saw a woman with red hair looking down at me. It's really her. I've missed her so much. It feels as if my soul had returned to my body when I saw her face. What happened to her? Where has my sister been all of this time? And what happened to her face? I don't care. She's alive and here. Thank you, Talos, for bringing her back to me. I thought I had lost her forever. I feel as if all the weight of guilt had left my shoulders. We should have never split up. We were born as two, to fight as one. I asked her what had happened. She explained that she went to attack Fort Sungard after a dragon attacked it. But her forces were defeated by the Imperials, that were led by Senturos. She said he's the one that captured her. He's the one that sent her off to Solitude, where she was tortured, blinded, and raped by the Imperials. He knew all of this time she was alive, and what was happening to her. That bastard. I should have known better than to trust an Imperial. He is going to pay for what happened with my sister. All of them will. Treaty be damned. Never should have come here.
I saw that look on her face, and when her eyes met mine, I knew something bad was about to happen. Once her sister had told her what had happened to her, Sigurd flew into a rage, and without a second thought, she was trying to kill me. After all we had been through together, after everything we had achieved, bringing a peace to Skyrim it hasn't seen in decades, and she's just going to throw it all away. I'm not throwing it all away. I didn't bring her sister back to her just to kill her. I need to wait until she tires out. She'll take a moment to breathe and hopefully talk. By the 8. When is she going to get tired? Why is she trying to kill me? I did nothing to her sister but keep her alive. If it wasn't for me, she would be dead.
Think you can take me? Fight back, you coward! You will pay for what was done to my sister. I should have known better than to trust an Imperial. You're all animals. I should have never broken bread with our enemies. You all deserve death.
What are you talking about? I brought you your sister alive. For one, I didn't kill her when I had the chance, and I brought her back to you. And for thanks, you tried to kill me?
You animals tortured her and raped her. You dare think I would allow this to go unpunished? You Imperials are nothing but dogs.
Put down your blade, or I'll put one between your eyes, Sigund. If you make a move towards Senturos again, I will drop you.
Why do you care what happens to this imp, Shadow? They're nothing but murderers and rapists. You would protect these disgusting animals?
No, but I will protect this one. Why would you turn your back on this truce you created? What is so important you're willing to kill him now?
Because he threw my sister in the Solitude prisons to be raped and beaten, and he never told me she was alive.
That's not true. Let me tell you a little story, Sigund. I know Senturos. I met him long ago, when he guarded that very prison your sister was held in. And just like her, I was abused by the Imperial Guard. But Senturos protected me. He would give me his own food rations, and talk to me. Have you even been locked up? Had all of those men look at you and only see a warm body to use? And then one of them feeds you food that isn't rotten, and talks to you like a human being. Senturos is that one. I know personally that he would have never done that to your sister.
Wait, that was you? You're the redhead. I've wondered what had happened to you. I heard you escaped. Look at that. I knew I had a good feeling about you when we met. I was relieved when I found out you had escaped.
What in oblivion is going on out here? I had people telling me Senturos and Sigund were trying to kill each other.
They were, but then your shadow joined and threatened to end Sigund. It's still not over yet. It's all over Sigund's sister or something. She attacked Senturos once her sister arrived.
Okay, it's time to put a stop to this. I didn't just create a truce for both of them to break it now. What on earth is going on here? All of you pull yourselves together and sheath your weapons immediately. I did not just sort a truce between your sides for both of you to break it now. I will not have it. And now that you have your troops here together, I expect both of you to hold a greater example amongst them. Not act like children and try and kill each other. Now why did you attack Senturos Sigund? I was told it was about your sister. I take it this is her? I thought she was dead.
So did I. Senturos knew all along she wasn't dead. He's the one that captured her and put her in the Solitude prison, where the Imperials tortured and molested her. That's why I attacked him.
But it wasn't him that did these horrible things to your sister. From what I'm hearing, he spared your sister, and now brings her back to you. And you attack him. You are in the wrong, Sigund.
Of course you would defend him. After all, every night his cock's between your legs.
How dare you! I understand you are upset, and there are many emotions going through you right now. But don't you dare talk to me like that. I will not tolerate it. I think you need to spend some time with your sister on your own. And if you're no longer comfortable fighting alongside us, you can leave. If you choose to stay, you will learn some manners, and you will find me at Fort Dawnguard.
That went way worse than I expected it to. I'm sorry about all that. I didn't really see it going that way, and I'm sorry about what she said. I don't know how she would have known.
She would have seen you get up and make your way towards my quarters. We aren't exactly silent when we're having our moment. But I think it's about time we stopped all that and focused on the dragons. And the vampires.
Ah, yes, I agree. We need to move out so we have enough sunlight to make it to this Nord ruin before the sun goes down. Are you sure leaving Sigund behind is a good idea? She's a good fighter.
Yes. She needs some time to think about her actions. I know all of that was just her heart pouring out in pain. When she calms down, she will come around. And when she is ready, she will be at Fort Dawnguard waiting for us.
Also, what's with the old armor? Didn't much like the dragon-slaying armor.
It doesn't feel right to wear anymore since the blades betrayed me. And I'm returning to the Dawn Guard. I want to feel familiar to them.
Okay, I'll muster the troops. I don't think any of Sigund's people will follow, but I'll get everyone ready. Let's get moving.
After our little almost fatal incident with Sigund and Senturos, it was time to hit the roads. We needed to reach Shriekwind Bastion. Sigund would remain behind to be with her sister. She said some hurtful things, but I know they came from a bleeding heart. And with some time alone with her sister, I know she will regret her actions towards me and Senturos. I know it in my heart that when she is ready, she will seek us out at Fort Dawnguard. But the rest of us must go on. So many follow me, so many different people and creatures from different walks of life. Within the last 4 days, we've had more join. Both new faces and old friends. Vami, the priestess of Marillia, and her Auroran joined me once they found out that their lady's champion was the Dragonborn. And another priestess joined us, one of Minerva's old friends. She serves the Lady of Dusk and Dawn, the Daedric Prince Azura. From what I'm told, she isn't one of the bad ones. And now with the truce stopping the civil war, I now have both Imperial and Stormcloak forces at my back in this fight. I can't believe all of these people follow me. It's still hard to understand why and how they do. I have warriors, mages, Daedra and their worshippers, those that hunt the Daedra, werewolves, vampires, and Reachmen, and even Falmer following me. And did I mention the Stormcloaks and Imperials fighting by my side together? I have warriors, mages, Daedra and their worshippers, those that hunt the Daedra, werewolves, vampires, and Reachmen, and even Falmer following me. And did I mention the Stormcloaks and Imperials fighting by my side together? Even now, while I move towards the Dawn Guard, Cecilia and Freya are accompanied by Daedra in their pursuits to find a new place to hold everyone that follows me. Like that on its own, that Cecilia is working with the Daedra for the greater goal of stopping the dragons. That on its own is more awe-inspiring than the peace treaty. Going back to those that follow me, the most recent who joined me yesterday, his name is Svenvard Greycloak. He was an Imperial and Stormcloak soldier. He has fought for both sides, and left both of them. He told me that like most Nords that returned home after the Great War, that they were angry with the Empire's surrender. And like most, he joined the fight against them. But a year ago in battle against the Empire, he dug his blade into a young Imperial's chest. His eyes met hers, and he saw the fear and panic in her eyes. He said she called out for her father, and the guilt drowned him. He took her to the ground and held her until her last moments. It's then he knew the Empire wasn't his real enemy. He walked away from the rebellion and took the fight to his real enemy, the Elves. Any that wore the armor of the Thalmor met his blade on the roads. And when he heard that the Dragonborn had won a great battle against the World Eater, he took the fight to his new enemy, the dragons, and joined me. I wouldn't call it a victory, but it seems the word is getting out about our fight. Many will seek me out now. That's why Cecilia has gone to find a new place for my forces. But now I need to show them all that dragons are no longer to be feared. It's time to free the road of that dragon. Now that I have Dragonrend, I will tear them from the skies. And with each kill, I will get more powerful. It's time to show Skyrim that we shouldn't fear them anymore. We killed the beast, freeing the path west into Markarth and Solitude. Each time I kill one of them, I feel renewed. I feel like a brand new version of myself. Any illness or injuries I had are gone. I'm still a far way off from facing one down on my own, but I will get there. We lost Rikor in the fight. She was another companion. I've lost 3 so far. When those that travel the roads in the years to come, all will know her name and her deed, and what she died for. We buried her where she fell, and took the bones from the dragon that could be of use. Now it was time to head to Shriekwind Bastion to learn this word of power the Greybeards have sent me after.
I can feel my strength returning each time I am set free from that prison. Hear now the second word of soul tearing. Vase. Meaning to tear your enemy's soul from its living vessel.
I needed to learn the second word to soul tear, and having Durnevere watching over us in the skies felt safer. As soon as we got into the forest, it started to rain. The trees were tall and would hide us from the dragons, and we had one watching over us. From here on, the journey was to be of peace in the rain. I knew we were getting close to Shriekwind. I could feel the whisper of the word. It's like I could feel my skin buzzing when I get close to words of power. But there was something else I could feel. It was one of those people feelings. Those I got with everyone. I felt a sense of peace and protection, like what I felt with when my father was alive. When we entered the place, it smelled horrible. It didn't smell of the Draugr, but of rotted corpses. But I couldn't find any. Minerva mentioned coming to this place when she arrived in Skyrim, and it was filled with corpses. That was vampire ash, and they were still warm. Somebody had come by here and slain them. I feel as if that person is still here. Whoever arrived before us has dealt with this tomb's inhabitants. This must be the person I'm feeling. As we traveled further on, we had no resistance. Whoever cleared this place also had dealt with its traps. It's like they knew somebody would be coming here. It feels like they are making sure the path is safe.
Unspeakable sacrifices, maybe.
We came across a body. It didn't look like it had been dead for a long time. Around a day or so. Looks like this poor soul was a thrall. This room was a sight of horror. I'm glad somebody has dealt with these vampires. If not them, it would have been me. We came across a dark passage. Another trap to open the door, no doubt. But whoever came here before us has already opened the way. Another dead vampire. They have to be a hunter if they know how to kill them properly. Maybe somebody from the Dawn Guard is here? Wait, could it be Serana? Could she be here on the hunt? It's been so long since I've seen her. I've missed her. We were here. I could start to hear the chanting of the word, but we had not found who had cleared this place. Maybe they had already left this ruin. Wait, there was a man down there. That's who I could feel. That was who cleared this place.
Thank the Nine. She's here. This must be the fiery-eyed Dragonborn I saw in my dreams. It's about time I introduce myself. I've waited a day for the Dragonborn, but I've waited 30 to redeem myself to the Nine. I will not fail them again. Hello, Dragonborn. I'm sorry to startle you. My name is Ragni. I've been expecting you. This will sound strange, but I was given a vision by the Nine to meet you here, and so I've waited.
You must have been the one who killed those vampires. It's a pleasure to meet you, Ragni. What can I do for you? And you having a vision of me isn't the weirdest thing I've had to deal with people following me.
I can imagine. I've heard vampires and all other sorts follow you. And you wear the armor of those that end them?
Yes, I am Dawnguard. But I've learned some things with my time. There are things far worse than vampires out there.
That crest on his armor, that's Knights of the Nine, the group Cecilia talks about. How she was in love with the Crusader. He fights for that order.
I was a Knight of the Nine, before we were destroyed in the Great War. But the Nine have sent me to fight by your side, if you would accept my blade. I will lend it to you, as long as you fight for what is good and right in the world.
I accept, and I shall uphold to do good. I will be honored to have a Knight of the Nine by my side. Welcome to the group. I hope you don't mind Daedra and all those sorts.
If they fight by your side, they can't be that bad.
Welcome to the party. But now I need to go and read that word of power. The chanting is getting a little loud. Another follows, this one being a knight of some holy order. The strange thing is, he looks like my father. I had almost forgotten what my father's face looked like, but Ragni looks so much alike him. The carving wrote Gra, which means battle. The carvings read, "This stone commemorates the brave Theodrek who died heroically in the Battle of the Serpent Sea." We arrived back in Dayspring Canyon during the night. It felt so good to be back. It was like coming back home after a long journey. Here I had purpose before I was Dragonborn. Everyone here was my family. And now I return home, but with a new family that will help me finish what I started all those months ago. To end the Volkihar clan. That's a sight I'll never miss. Time to go and see the other sight I have missed. A woman who looks most beautiful under the moonlight. We were stopped at the gate, but when I told them I had returned, they welcomed me back. But now everyone here knows what happened to me and who I had become. And with the allies I have brought, the fight against Harkon will soon be put to an end. It's time to rejoin this fight and stop yet another evil seeking to destroy Skyrim. Harkon might walk a lion amongst sheep, but now the lion is going to have to deal with the dragon.
Chapter 50. 50 bloody chapters and a lot more videos that come after it or whatever the hell. I thought I'd leave this chapter shorter after the last chapter. I'm actually not proud of that one. It went for way too long and there was a couple of mistakes I didn't clean up. Which is very surprising because I normally catch the swearing I have to put into the AI to make it sound emotional. That chapter went for way too long. And this right here is like a quick little 5-minute what happened in between. So if you haven't watched chapter 49, don't worry about it. It's right here. This will tell you everything you need to know. This one was a brand new well, see, he's not brand new. I've had him in the pipeline for a long time. But he is a brand new character with a brand new voice. And it's sort of a I don't know. It's sort of a story that I've always really wanted to know ever since Elder Scrolls Skyrim came out. What had happened to the Knights of the Nine. Now, it's always bugged me that there was no lore on the Knights of the Nine when it came to Skyrim, because the Knights of the Nine Priory, which was pretty much on the southern side of Cyrodiil, is pretty close to the Valenwood border, meaning that during the start of the war, they would have been sacked and destroyed by the Thalmor, or the Old Merry Dominion. Because at the end of the day, they're the Knights of the Nine. I don't believe a religious order is going to go, yep, we'll believe in the Knights of the Eight, especially when that wasn't enforced yet. They would have 100% fought with the Empire if they still remained as a knightly order, right? And plus, the Knights of the Nine, they worship a dude called the Holy Crusader. And the very first one, he was responsible for the mass butcher of elves. So, I don't really see them even recognising the order or allowing it to live as the Knights of the Eight, especially when the very armour they worship as the Holy Crusader's armour is the armour that saw pretty much the slaughter of thousands of elves. So I'm not too sure the elves would be a big fan of Palamon Whitestreak, the Holy Crusader. But yeah, I doubt they would have survived very long in the Great War. I wish there was some lore in it, because like I said, would have they had time to hide the artifacts, because the war started pretty much immediately after the Dominion dropped the heads of all the Blades agents, and within a day the Dominion was invading Cyrodiil. I don't know if they would have had time. Maybe. I don't exactly know. But being on the southern border of the Dominion, maybe within the conference of those Blades heads being dropped, they went, holy shit, something's about to start, get the gear out of here. Maybe the Dominion has some of the gear locked away, using it for their own power. They might have hated the man, but it was armor basically for the gods, or created by the gods apparently. But yeah, so I really wanted to put a character in here that was part of that story that was never answered. That the Knights of the Nine in my story were still in fact a prominent, order. They weren't 9 knights, there was probably like 30 of them or so. And they were destroyed early on. Artifacts got, a lot of their artifacts got out, but most of the order died. And this guy, Ragni, was a Nord. He was a new addition, he was young, and he had joined the order. And within months of him joining, becoming an official knight, the shit hit the fan with the Great War. So that, that's kind of how I wanted to go. And he regrets it because he was young, and he feels like a coward for basically seeing it as a lost fight. He was in the fight killing elves, but he turned back and saw his comrades getting surrounded. And instead of running in there and dying alongside of them, he decided to survive and, back off and wait for reinforcements to arrive, which were the other knights that were, that were trying to hide the gear. So again, he feels like a coward for letting his brothers and sisters be slaughtered by the Dominion. But he then fought in the war, and when all hope felt lost when the Imperial city was taken, he left and fled back to Skyrim and buried his armor. And when the Empire retreated back to Skyrim, he joined on as a mercenary, not as a Knight of the Nine, and got some gold for his time and bought some land. And the gold kind of got to him, he lost faith, and now it was about gathering gold and making something for his own life, because faith got him little to nothing. He betrayed it and just felt really guilty before he met a woman at a bar and started a family. And 20 or so years later, 26 years later, he's now got his own big home, a nice farm, 3 children, but one of them actually died. No, I actually made the 3rd child, and he actually did die in my game. So it was prevalent to put him in the background as a young man that went to war and never came back. Makes the family feel a bit more believable in the current time of Skyrim. So the oldest brother is actually dead. In my game, he died somehow. So yeah, well, like most young Nords, he went off to fight for his country, independence, and didn't make it back. It gives him a place in Skyrim. He's trying to rewrite a wrong of abandoning his brothers and abandoning his faith for the knightly order. And now that the dragons have returned, there's one that can fight them and destroy them and stop them. He feels that he is oath-bound to serve that Dragonborn to save the world, as a Knight of the Nine should. And so it's all about, him trying to refine himself, trying to redeem himself in the eyes of himself and, of course, the Nine. So he is going to be kind of a father figure, because he kind of looks like, I don't really even remember what a father looks like, but he gives me feelings of Ragni's father. And that's kind of the dynamic I want with these. Like, he'll follow her along Skyrim, but she will talk to him like she talks to anyone else. She kind of confides in him like a father, because at the end of the day, his daughter kind of looks similar. Is the same age and similar look to Ragni. And, she's the father that she never had. Pretty much they're the exact same people, in a sense. They both loved their family, started to farm, and left the war to start something new. But her path changed when the vampires attacked and killed her family. If they didn't, her father would be Ragni right now, a loving, caring father who's raised his children. He was lucky enough not to have the vampires stop him in regards of what had happened to his children. You know what I mean? So pretty much, yeah, he's going to be the father figure. She's going to confide in him like she would her father, because that's how she will see him. The sort of father that she lost due to the vampires. And they kind of look alike. But who knows, maybe, because he was a Knight of the Nine in Cyrodiil, maybe he was a Cyrodiilic Nord or Skyrim Nord, maybe he was a cousin or a brother to her father. Unknown, or who bloody knows. But I'm going to leave that to open to interpretation, but he's now in the path. Now, when it comes to the armor and the weapons they're using, I want to state that I use Creation Club stuff all the time, but I kind of put a spin on it, but it makes it a bit more immersive. This is the reforged armor, the light version of the Crusader armor. But again, you can't reforge the goddamn Crusaders armor, screw that shit. It looks like the perfect armor for a Nordic knight that would have joined the Knights of the Nine. This is how I created it. This is the story I based this guy's story off, was the Knights of the Nine reforged armor looked like a knight armor. Like it doesn't look like the Crusaders armor, it looks like a Knight of the Nine's armor, you know, for a custom knight. One from Skyrim. You know, and so that's kind of where I built the character of the idea that the reforged armor wasn't the Crusaders armor, but a Knights of the Nine armor. Also the sword and the shield. Now I understand that, you know, he doesn't have any of the artifacts, but I also put a spin on it, saying that they are the Knights of the Nine sword and shield, as in the sort of sword and the shield they'd be given once they become a knight. Because that shield looks absolutely nothing like the Crusaders shield at all. There is a mod out there called, as far as I know, it's Legacy of the Dragonborn, and its models to have the knights, and they look so much better. Like, I'm pretty sure the shield has like little wings on the sides, on the tips of them, and the sword doesn't have like a curved upper side guard, but it's straight side guard. So these weapons and swords don't even look like the actual Knights of the Nine armor, which is kind of strange, because the person that made these is the very person that made the Knights of the Nine armor back in the day as one of the first mods, and that was Matty? Marvy? I don't remember the name, I'm sorry. He's a New Zealander, so he lives right next door to me as an Australian. But he's the one that made all this gear. The armor looks pretty good, the armor looks spot on, but the sword and the shield do not. They look completely different to what you'd come from in Oblivion. So I use the sword and the shield as an inspiration that they are made by the Knights of the Nine to look similar to the Crusaders armor, to pass it off as a Knights of the Nine gear set with all of it. You know, I'm not going to be walking around in the Holy Crusader gear. There's a story I want to do for that much later on when, say, Beyond Skyrim comes out, Beyond Skyrim Cyrodiil, and the idea for that is to have an original character in Cyrodiil that becomes the Knight of the Nine, and he will venture into Skyrim to aid the Dragonborn, you know, and maybe Ragnik's there. He will find the new Crusader. I don't know, but that's very far away if it even happens. You know, Beyond Skyrim could be a long way away. I believe it'll come out, but who knows? I could be fucking dead by then. So this is kind of Ragni, the last knight, the father figure to the Dragonborn, but also an inspiration behind the idea of the Creation Club gear that I thought would really suit better than a remade light armor, the Crusader armor. But that's just me. I wanted to base the story off that. Now, the idea of the name of this chapter, The Last Night, actually came because I wanted to do 2 chapters in one, but I thought I don't want to do like a 2-hour thing again. It's called The Last Night. Now, it's not just The Last Night as we met right now, but it's also, which is going to be the next chapter, which is going to be named exactly the same, but it's going to be The Last Night for the Valkyr clan. So, chapter 50, The Last Night. We get to meet The Last Night. Chapter 51 will be The Last Night for the Valkyr clan. So they're gonna... I think it's a bit cluey. I always like cluey shit. But, yeah. And there's also a bit more in this chapter than just meeting The Last Night. There's some things we had to clear up from the last chapter, if you managed to bloody watch it. Like, holy shit. Now, Senturos has grown rather fond of hanging out with Sigurd. I wouldn't say fond, but they've started to accept each other's company. You know, they are enemies. They've fought and killed each other's people for a long time. Opposite sides of the same coin. But, you know, they are enemies. But they've grown tolerable of each other after the month of flying the Dragonborn. Now, he wants to do right by her by giving back her sister that he had captured Fort Sungard when she attacked after a dragon attack. Yeah, as a sign of peace, because if peace treaties happened, you know, he wants to show that he is, you know, on the side of peace. You know, that he's not going to be, you know, treating her like shit anymore. He wants to treat Sigurd better because he's starting to accept her. So he wants to give back her sister that she believes is dead. So he's going to, yep, your sister's not dead and we've got her. But he's now got to deal with the consequence of sparing her life and not being around to protect it. Marillia, who Brianna captured many months ago, was, you know, thrown inside the Windhelm jails, had to fight for her food. For 6 months she was brutalized in the Windhelm jails as an Imperial soldier, and broken and freed. And when she got the woman that was responsible for capturing her, she did some horrible things to her. She cut her eye for an eye. She blinded her. She tortured her, and you know, and she let the Imperial Guard have their way with her when they were feeling a bit antsy. So she encouraged some horrible shit. But Marillia went through some horrible shit, and it's kind of turned her into the animal that war does to a lot of people. And I guess Marillia, Brianna has, suffered the consequence of her victory of beating Marillia. Of course, now with the peace treaty on, Imperial soldiers and Stormcloak soldiers can walk side by side without having to be death. And having the road so clean of like dead bodies is even surprising to me, since I've been playing this save for a year, and normally the roads are trash of dead bodies and helmets and weapons all over the place. Now, this scene, look, the scene when they fight, I kind of really wanted to be that. Like, I didn't want it to be an argument where Sigurd was like, she looks at the Senturos and has an argument with him. Like, I wanted her to lose her shit. She was starting to get comfortable with Senturos too, but when she finds out her sister's alive, and then she finds out her sister's been brutally beaten, tortured, blinded, and raped, you lose it, because that's your fucking sibling, especially if it's your twin. Like, you've got a 10,000 emotions going in you right now, and they're just not working together. They are scrambling, they are going batshit crazy, and the person that she just started getting used to, she's then told horrible things, that he did this and he did that, and she is blinded by her anger, and she starts to attack him. And I kind of wanted that. I didn't know how to properly do that in a sort of sense where it'd be like, I'd have Senturos as an NPC fighting her, because at the end of the day, he'd strike her down. He'd cut. Like, he would use his blade. I didn't want that, because the whole point of Senturos to bring his sister here is an act of goodwill. He's not going to bring the sister here and then cut her down. That just doesn't make much sense. In a survival sort of situation it would, but he knew she was angry and that she would pour all of her anger into her attacks, and she would attack him until she was tired. Now it comes to a point to where basically Topher puts an arrow at Sigurd and goes, if you make one more move I'll drop you, and then she reveals kind of who she was, so she kind of lets Senturos know who she is, because Sigurd's blaming Senturos for throwing her in the prisons and letting her sister get raped. Then Topher comes in and tells her that Senturos isn't that person. He was a guard in that prison, and he looked after me, he protected me, he treated me like a human being. And it kind of reveals to Senturos, like, wait, that was you? Because now we can see her face behind the hood, because he looked after her. She had red hair and pale skin. So he's kind of got a face now under the hood, and she's revealed a bit of herself to protect Senturos, and to reveal that he's not the monster that Sigurd is now believing him to be. Now Sigurd basically says a very nasty remark, because they've been, Senturos and they've been sleeping together. And I had to put the Dragonborn, had her foot put down. She's like, how fucking dare you speak to me like that? How dare you? And she gets up real close to her face and says, if you do not like it, you can fuck off. But I like to think that Ragni, I made her to be kind of smart, but also thoughtful. So she knows that, Sigurd's going through a shit ton of emotions right now. She knows that her head's all scrambled. And she knows in her heart when she calms down that she will regret her decision of the way she spoke and the way she acted. That when, the plan was to go to Fort Dawnguard, but when Sigurd's ready, she will seek them out in Fort Dawnguard. And that's kind of how it goes, because Sigurd and Senturos, they both fight with their heart. And Ragni knows that. She knows that very well. So she had to put her foot down and show Sigurd that she is not to be fucking talked to like that, or pushed around. Sigurd could probably still at this stage kick her ass, but at the stage of the Dragonborn needing authority, she needs to show authority, because she's leading all these people. She can't let her own people talk to her like that. So I'm kind of putting down the foot, showing that she is the boss, regardless if she could not beat her way out of a fight with Sigurd at the current time. But she also cancels the kind of relationship she and Senturos have been having. They've been sleeping together because it's companionship. It's something they do in between the quiet time, not for love, but for companionship and familiarity, since they've been there and done that before. But she puts a hold on that now, because also at the same time, it's now out in the open, people know about it. It's not very professional. Can't really claim authority if you're sleeping with your own crew. But also, she's going back to Fort Dawnguard, and she's very greatly missed Serana, and she's thought about her, and there's that love deep down that she has missed and had for the person that she hated the most in the world. She's eager to get back and meet her again. She can't really afford to be, if she likes this person, she can't really afford to have, jump in Senturos' boat. That's kind of the way it goes. But we also meet another character. Now, if you're an old-time fan of the series, let me know if you're still here, because this is kind of for you guys. I think you guys... No, this is... I don't know. His name's Svenvard, I think. Svenvard Greycloak, and he was a massive inspiration from an image I saw on the Nexus. Someone created him. I don't know if I gave him the name, but someone said Greycloak, and so it gave me a character idea of an older man that had fought on both sides of the war. He was, in the Great War, fought the Empire, came back angry, fought for the Stormcloaks, but then things changed. He basically was in a battle. He was outside the Battle of Whiterun when he was fighting an Imperial soldier, and he put his blade through her gut, but his eyes caught her eyes, and he saw the face of fear that she knew she was going to die. The gasping for air, knowing that her time was done. And she looked at him, and she just muttered, "Father," because she was dying, and she, like everyone that, I've never died, but men or women in that situation that are dying, they always want someone that's close to them that they love, and for men it's their mothers, and most of the time for the women it's their fathers. And he felt extremely guilty and sad, and basically coursed her to the ground when she went to go collapse, and he held her and stayed close to her until her very last moments. And he knew at that time that he could never fight the Imperials again. The guilt from killing a young woman that could have been his own daughter, it changed him. So he went to the roads and he fought his real enemy, the Thalmor, and if he saw a Thalmor crew on the road, he cut them down. Those were his real enemy. Now the dragons are a threat to all mortal kind. That's his new enemy. He's going to join the Dragonborn as an old Imperial soldier and an old Stormcloak soldier. We finally get to wrap up the last night chapter by meeting the last night. He's been waiting for a day. He came a day early, but he's cleaned out all the dead bodies that he could, and he's made sure all the traps are unactivated, and he's cleared the room for the Dragonborn of his dreams to meet him. So it's kind of the dream he had from the night, of the vision of the fiery-eyed woman that he couldn't see the face of, and I had to make sure I covered the face up with the Dawnguard helmet. That's also a thing I didn't really mention. She put away her, it's in the story, but she doesn't wear the dragon slaying armor anymore because, well, the blades betrayed her, and she doesn't want to walk around with their image. It makes her, she doesn't like it. But she now finally gets to meet the last knight, who's cleared this dungeon for her, and all this sort of stuff, the kind of father figure. And I don't know, I thought it would be convenient for him to go in, clean the place out, and wait for her, and then get some story done in between, and then at the end of the story, boom, they finally meet. The father figure that she's been, I guess, missing since her own father passed will become a sort of guiding hand for her, someone that she can talk to that isn't the people behind her. It has advice, because again, he has a daughter her age, and he will look after her, because not just only she's the Dragonborn, it's his oath as a Knight of the Nine to protect her, to save the world, but because he will see a lot of his own daughter in her, because they are around exactly the same age, are very young, around 19, going on 20, so, boom, that's why he will be the father figure of the Dragonborn. And the end of the chapter is pretty much moving on into the Fort Dawnguard to kind of go into the next chapter, the last night, to finish what we started with Ragni's journey as the Hunter. The end the Volkir clan once and for all. And during this, she will learn new words of power, and it continues into her story of gathering strength for the day when she needs to face Elduin down, when she's strong enough to fight and kill her own dragons on her own. That is when she knows she'll be ready to face down Elduin. But anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this chapter. I don't really care if you want to sub or don't, or like, dislike, do what you want. At the end of the day, it's for certain people that enjoy storytelling and all that sort of stuff, and get inspired by to play their own game, do certain things like this on their own saves. But views too, they're pretty cool. Comments are pretty cool too. That does help the algorithm out to find more people that enjoy this sort of stuff. That's kind of why I put up here, to get it out there, to get the story out of my head and put it on YouTube. And people that like this sort of stuff will find it. So I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, let me know. If you haven't, let me know if you got a voice. If you don't, it doesn't really matter. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed. I'm gonna get out of your hair if you got any, and look after yourselves. Catch us in the next vid.